right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee and Cargo webinar. My name's Emily. I'm a project manager here at ITALOG, and today I'm joined by Gaston Engelmeier, Vice President at ITALOG, and Ben Schwengel, International Operations Director at ITALOG. We also have a special guest speaker with us today, Gaston, our Argentinian partner. We'll get more into a formal introduction with him and some things that are happening out in Argentina in a little bit. But first, let's get into the U.S. import forecast. Ben, Justin, can you guys give us a little bit of a market update, peak season pricing, vessel capacity, and where the water level is looking like at the Panama Canal?
Yeah, you bet, Emily. Good morning, everyone. So when we go into peak season, normally, you're seeing your peak season surcharges, you're seeing the pricing go up and up and up. Well, rates have gone up a little bit here. From the lowest point this year. I believe this last one only went up by $100 or so. So it's not going as some had hoped, but we also normally see vessel capacity being stretched, and right now we're still actually seeing some blank sailings. So it's a lot weaker than it normally is. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but it certainly isn't quite to where we're normally seeing it. We see this with, some of our customers are still seeing high levels of inventory, so they aren't in need of bringing a lot more in. Certain industries are doing well, so they are bringing in a little bit more here. But overall, when you stretch it across the entirety of the country right now, the peak season really isn't what we're used to seeing. Ben, would you like to touch a little more on that?
I agree with you, Justin. I would say a lot of it's contributed by factors are maybe a lack of confidence in consumerism for the holiday sales. We've passed that back to school rush that usually means arrivals in July and August. And now we're in the pre-holiday season, peak season of Trans-Pacific eastbound cargo, and we're just not seeing the volume at all like pre-COVID numbers. And at those times you were concerned about your booking being rolled to a later vessel due to a lack of capacity, and right now we're seeing vessel blank sailings continue that we've talked about for the last 6-7 months through this peak season time when there usually is a lack of capacity.
Yeah, and so don't you think it's a lot of what we normally see even within our customers, a lot of the consumer goods, the stuff that you're buying at Target, the stuff that you're buying at retail, a lot of those products that you're starting to ramp up here for the Christmas holidays, that's what we're not seeing. There's certain industries still doing well, still bringing stuff in, but the real peak season push is normally due to those consumer products that you're buying at the retail level. And at the moment, that's what we're not seeing.
I agree, and same can be said for the e-commerce that usually comes into the Amazon warehousing. It's still quite a bit lower than was expected. We'll continue watching the trend, and the peak season typically goes through the middle of October, so it could ramp up between now and then as far as departures go, and arrivals by mid-November in order to make those Black Friday sales. We don't know, the day after Thanksgiving. But at the beginning of this peak season, the forecast is looking quite a bit low compared to the last few years.
And Ben, are you able off the top of your head to give us just a rough estimate of, a few of the past peak season surcharges, whatnot that we've seen this year, estimates versus what we normally see?
Right. All in the past, you'd have a springtime rate, the lowest of the market, and the peak season would be double that rate, and easily seeing jumps of $300 to $500 per container every month or even every 2 weeks at this point. So the fact that we are seeing an increase of maybe $100 to the West Coast kind of illustrates just how much the peak season is diminished from other years. Now, you see the graphic up there for the Panama Canal depth. That's about 4 feet lower than normal, meaning that it's impacting the amount of cargo that can go through the Panama Canal. And the carriers are being a little bit more selective, finding a way to increase the rate to the Gulf and the East Coast. So instead of $100 increase this month, we saw increases to the Gulf and the East Coast of $400, $500 per container still. The reason why
Interesting.
fewer containers on a vessel to make it through the canal.
All right. So again, it has nothing to do with the peak season actually coming into fruition. It has more to do with the drought.
That's right. And the forecast on the drought levels, this is the driest time of year for the lake that feeds into the Panama Canal. And it should start replenishing in the coming months, but nothing changing rapidly there either.
Got it. All right, Ben, well, would you like to introduce Gaston? And
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, again, welcome, Gaston. So happy you could be here. And this is Gaston Ansaloni from ITALOG, our Argentinian partner in Buenos Aires. And Gaston and I have been working together for a while. Recently, though, Argentina has been going through some economic crisis that best be explained by someone there. We can certainly give our overview and make sure Gaston corrects us where we may have misstep. It's a complicated issue, so we're not going to be able to cover everything in 15 minutes or so. But happy to talk.
Yeah. Thank you, Benjamin, Justin, and Emily. It's a real interesting to be here trying to explain what is happening in my country, in Argentina. The situation is, I always say that every analyze is coming, is where we coming, where we stay, and where we are coming from, where we're going to. And the thing is that the last three governments, the second of Cristina Kirchner, the presidents, the Mauricio Macri, and this one of Alberto Fernandez were very, very bad. One, Cristina going to the left, Macri going to the right, and now we are in the middle, but the situation is very critical. This is talking about politicians. We are suffering a stop payable foreign for goods and for service. The government decided just at least 4-3 months ago to stop or to start to control the foreign payments and put a lot of restrictions, such as the CIRA and the CIRASE. The CIRA is an authorization that the government give you in order to import the products that you want. And the CIRASE, it's the authorization to pay the service that you already gave to the client. In this situation, for example, we owe to ITALOG the last two shipments. And the first one is takes more or less 90 days or 100 days, and we presented everything at the government, but still not authorized.
Yeah.
And then the point is,
oh, sorry to interrupt, Gaston, but Emily, if you go to the next slide.
Yeah.
CIRA,
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And how you apply for permission to access the currency exchange.
Yeah.
And this is for all Argentinian buyers and sellers of any.
The point is that we, for example, the importers, that receive and approve CETA depends on what kind of products they want to import. They are going to be open at the exchange market in different days. For example, if you will import a consumer, you will be able to the exchange market in 30 days. If you import capital work, I don't know if it's okay the code, but you will be able to the market exchange in 180 days. So our official exchange,
like luxury goods, would be even longer, perhaps a year.
yeah,
Where you have access to the
and
exchange rate. Viewers may
and-
not be supplying or buying from Argentina at this time, but in some may. It would be good to understand the concepts behind this and why, when a government regulation is restricting access to foreign exchange, it's creating a change in the Incoterm, the way the sale and the purchase is negotiated. The important takeaway here is because it takes so long for your buyers in Argentina to access the exchange rate, they also cannot access the same exchange rate for paying for the carrier. Therefore, the control of who chooses the carrier, who ships the cargo, has to lie on the foreign entity.
Yeah.
If you're sending cargo to Argentina, it needs to be controlled by the companies selling to Argentinians.
Right, so you're essentially, Ben, you're saying, yeah, if we were trying to sell something to people in Argentina, then we here in the US should make arrangements and get paid by the people in Argentina, but we should also take control of the ocean freight and pay for that ocean freight to avoid the headache of the counterpart in Argentina having to do so, correct?
well,
And release of the cargo. And this is an extreme example.
Yeah.
Same thing could be applied to any nation where there's a rising inflation or high inflation versus
Right.
the US dollar. But or to Argentina.
all the carriers are doing that. They cover the freight outside Argentina and just cover you here the local charges. That's it's not and the exchange is higher than the official one.
Absolutely. When you go back to the slide, Emily, just so everyone can visualize the difference between what the national bank is listed exchange rate between the Argentinian peso and the US dollar is 365. But the free dollar, also the blue dollar, is also like cash in hand on the street. What the dollar value is holding compared to the peso. Extreme difference. More than double the value of a US dollar in hand. And all the restrictions attempt is to prevent the flooding of the Argentinian market with US dollars. But that type of restriction is actually perpetuating stronger influence and more US dollars. I think at one point, Gaston, you said to 60% of purchases made in Argentina roughly are done with US dollars. Is that accurate?
Yeah, for sure. And another issue, an important issue, is that the colloders, for example, Ecoline, Vanguard, Kraft, are cover you the $3.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay the ocean freight and the export charges for the import, but you must pay the $3.
Right.
So it's a bit crazy, but
What he's describing there, just for listen for 1 second, is how it's a manipulation, but it's for your looking out for your own good. In a country where now 40% of the population is reaching to a poverty level because of these inflation rates, there's times when multinational corporations are choosing to pay with dollars versus pesos and report it as pesos when it's really dollars. And that's a complication we definitely don't have time for today. I mean, it's interesting to a lot of people are into the global economics, but
Yeah.
this chart here just describes how there are actually different currency exchange rates based on how you're going to use your dollars or what you have in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's longer, but we have at least 14, 15 official dollars, a different exchange, and but you have access just for a few ones. For example, yesterday I was in a meeting in order to looking for some alternative method of payment. I have an interview with a financial guy that offered me to pay you by a MEP dollar. But which is the point that the disadvantage that if I enter this financial dollar, I will be excluded of the exchange official market.
Right.
It's okay. So I can complete with you, but we'll be outside of this the official system. That's it's crazy. I don't know what will be in October. What will happen? Milei, the president, the candidates that gets them most votes, most quality of votes. The idea is to dollarize. It's okay.
That's
Dollarize
the word.
the
Yes, it's
the economy.
Would you go to
Yeah.
that slide to show the results?
Yeah.
Just last Sunday,
yeah.
there was a primary vote where there's many dozens of candidates, and in order to be eligible for the first round of the presidential election in October, you had to secure 1.5%. But really, there's only 3 top contenders, and it's Javier Milei, who his
Yeah.
Libertarian Party, solely by his candidacy, secured 30%, and then Patricia Bullrich is former security minister. And
Yeah.
so she's very right-leaning, both in the like social aspects and economics. And Sergio Massa's left. He heads the other
Yeah.
part. So it's a close 3-way race. It's going to be interesting to see what happens October, where one candidate has to obtain 45%. Otherwise, there's a runoff in November.
Yeah. The just to give you a short brief of each candidates. Milei has the idea to dollarize the economy. They just in Infobae, if you see, they are offering a formal proposal with the Ecuadorian guy who dollarized the economy of Ecuador.
Mhm.
And they want to do the same. And Patricia Bullrich is almost the same. I think that Patricia Bullrich is not prepared enough. I can't hurt because it's they when she talk about the economy, she really don't know what is telling. And Milei has an idea. I don't know. I don't know yet if I am totally agree or not, but has an idea and a proposal. And Massa, it's the actual minister of economists, and we are where we are. So I don't know. The situation is really I don't know. You have a more than 40% of the people in the poor. So when in a country poor, they start to the steals, the criminal issues start to be more aggressive, to start to just last week before the election, we suffer 3 assassinates, 3 murders in 3 days in Gran Buenos Aires. So the situation is very critical, and what I'm sure that the Argentinian guys always said, this will happen and they will pass away as usual. We are in a cycle that between 15 or 20 years we have a several situation and crisis, and this is happened in 2001, and it's happened now. So 20 years later, and we have in 1989 the same, with the hyperinflation, around 800 of inflation. So I don't know what will be happen, but I'm pretty sure that this will we are going through.
Right. However, Javier Milei, his solution is a direct path towards dollarization, a rapid adjustment to the policies right now. And the dollarization meaning abandoning the national bank and the peso and using US dollars in Argentina. Whereas the other 2 candidates are trying to stick with the plan already in place, supported by the IMF. This will be an interesting election to watch, just to see how the personalities are supported by Argentinian voters, and the outcome that happens after this, whether it's dollarization or more of the same, with either a path led by a leftist or a rightist president.
Yeah, but it's the region, the South America, it's in a critical situation too, because Lula is back. In Paraguay, it's the left candidates that assumed today. In Bolivia, it's the right hand of Evo Morales, and in Ecuador, it's a bit complicated too, because they 2 candidates were murdered, I think, or something like that. So the region, it's Colombia with Petro, the other example. I think that we don't have the important issues, I would like to say pilares. We don't have pilares, like the base of the building. We don't have. So the new president will be, okay, well, let's dollarize, and in next 4 years the other president came and decided to go to the opposite, right, to the opposite way. So the situation and the base of Argentina are in a critical situation because we don't have base. You in US, you have that education will be like that. The hospital will be private, and the cost will be associated. Here we have many public, and the state, it's too huge, but it's in some part of it, it's very inefficient. And that's why, for example, I work since I start to work 20 years ago, always in the private sector. So when I see that some public guy never work and more or less earn the same money as me, and that's the situation. It's not good.
Sure. Well, I mean, that type of thing, that sentiment is felt in a lot of Western countries, or that, determining the efficacy of our governments and employees, right? Or what you were describing a moment ago was how the institutions in the United States are not as rapidly changing as in Argentina, where you have such a large public sector, the government controls so many industries, so that when a new president comes in, you feel very drastic changes without having consistent base to build off of. And these candidates are offering, Milei's suggestion, a completely new base to launch off. So we're watching it, and we're hopeful for just a positive outcome, whether it's gradual or rapid, and the compounding factors of like the drought and other issues affecting your agriculture and output. And fewer exports means fewer pesos again in the national bank. So we hope for the resolution there too, some better outlook for Argentina.
I hope to. Thank you very much for your time, for your invitation, and it was a real challenge for me, because working in a multinational, I used to have this kind of webinar or conference, but just a few years ago that I'm without this one, so I'm really appreciated, and wherever you want, I will be there.
It's a complicated issue. We tried to cover in 15 minutes to add some awareness, explain how we got to this point and where we could be going with it. But if you have any other additional questions for the viewers, if you're in Argentina, reach out to Gaston, or elsewhere, reach out to here at ITALOG, and we can kind of explain that access to the foreign exchange and how it's going to affect negotiations on buying and selling their products.
Kind of wrap things up here too. A few last minute housekeeping notes. Our next webinar will be on September the 20th at 10 a.m. If you want to be on our monthly webinar mailing list, you can email rachel@interlogusa.com, or if there's a specific topic you would like us to discuss, please let us know. But Gaston, Ben, Justin, it was a great conversation. Thanks for all joining us, and we hope to see you guys on our September Coffee and Cargo webinar. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.